Welcome, everybody, back to the Emerging Screenwriters interview series. I am Shayna Weber, and this is a very special follow-up edition of our series. If you haven't watched the original interview with AJ Bermudez, go back. We'll probably put it down below or wherever you find a link on this video. Go there and watch the original. This is sort of a catch-up from the last time we spoke. Hello, AJ. How are you?
Hi, I'm so good. How are you?
Good. I'm excited to chat with you
Thanks for
because
having me
we
back.
haven't officially chatted about businessy stuff and like what's going on. So I guess we'll jump right into the biggest thing happening,
Great.
at least in the outer world, not maybe in your inner world. But my dead friend Zoe
Yeah.
has premiered at South by Southwest and also was in theaters. Is it still in theaters? Is it now out? I know it's now on streaming.
Yeah, there are a couple, I think, holdouts, just really lovely theaters here in the US that have extended their runs, which we love them. But yeah, there's a fantastic little theater in, like small Little Falls, New York that extended their run. There are other spots that just have been so lovely and have been showing the film so much love. But for the most part, yes. So the big theaters like AMC, etc. My Dead Friend Zoe is now out of those theaters and on to VOD, which still very, very much matters
Mhm.
in terms of reception. So if you can rent it, have stay home movie night, date night, whatever, and find it on Apple TV Plus or Amazon, please do so. That's where you can find it now.
Yes, please watch it. I watched it in the theater. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
I
thank
was very
you.
proud of you. Stayed through the credits. So yay.
So
Um,
that
can you
special message after the credits. So yeah,
yes.
you can do it.
Can you just talk a little bit about that experience, what that was like for you, how it came about? Um, yeah, let's start from the beginning. Sort of like, and I think it's really talking about the importance of connections and
Mhm.
knowing people and how that works. So can you tell us how that came to be?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was one of those things, I think, as you would agree, where um, having the right creative work and also being available for when opportunity arises is just so essential. And this was a really lovely series of happenings. Not to plug the ISA during an ISA interview, but
Oh,
I
please
did.
do.
People don't mind that, right? Yeah. No, I was connected with this really, really terrific podcast host, Liz Manischel, who's one half of the host team for Making Movies is Hard, which is a really fun podcast, through an ISA connection.
Mhm.
So the ISA sort of sent me toward that podcast based on a different project that I had worked on. And then just kind of hit it off, had a great time, chatted with Liz Manischel a bit, and she was an early producer on My Dead Friend Zoe, just a fantastic human. And at the time, Kyle, the director, was looking for a writer to sort of remake the project. And so, yeah, she said, I think you should meet Kyle. I was in New York at the time. I was working on a commercial or something, and had a great phone conversation with Kyle. We did indeed, as predicted, really hit it off. I shared some writing samples. He loved them, and he was like, "Yeah, let me bring you out to LA. Let's break this thing. Let's write the script together." So that is how My Dead Friend Zoe came about, and then it kind of went pretty quickly creatively from there. But when you work with good people, you work with good people, and it can happen, pretty swiftly.
Awesome. So, what was the co-writing process like for you guys? Was it, and I guess talk a little bit about for you, are you used to co-writing? What was it like coming in on a project that you didn't create? That's like not like your creative vision. All those things. Let's talk about those.
Yeah, so this is a partly autobiographical story for Kyle, for the director, and was always, I think, going to be his feature debut as a director. So I felt very honored to be brought into that process.
Mhm.
But as a screenwriter, I've definitely done kind of everything on the spectrum of um, taking someone else's idea and running with it to building something from the ground up.
Mhm.
And this process was very, very collaborative because I really wanted to honor this true story of like these real humans. And if you see the film, you know it's a very special story. And so I think Kyle was especially committed to working with a writer who really wanted to get that right and really wanted to honor that narrative while also making it. Um, that unique confluence of entertaining and also, I think, edifying.
Mhm.
So anyway, but yes, in this case, it was super collaborative. We met up for like a week in this basement, what we called our war room, with just every index card that exists and every color of post-it note, and just like all of just all of this stuff. Um, and yeah, and we broke the whole thing down. We tried out all the tools, completely broke the script, and then I went away. I took maybe 3 weeks to write a full new draft of the script, sent it back to Kyle, and then we did like a kind of back and forth. And then, of course, as you near production, certain things change. You find out, Morgan Freeman is on board, and you start. I mean, I was like, we're writing way more lines for Morgan Freeman.
Right.
So, things definitely change process wise along the way. But I think working with people who have a sense of collaboration and flexibility is super, super key. But yes, when it works well, it works well.
From Kyle's point of view, what do you think, or did he tell you sort of like why you were the right choice to come aboard this? Was it the female perspective? Was it just that you're a amazing writer? Like, were there reasons specifically, or was it just like I need a collaborator because this is too close to me?
Kyle, in his own right, is an excellent writer.
Mm-hmm.
Although he would definitely call himself a director, a director first. And I think that part of what he wanted to find in a writer and a co-writer was certainly not only demographic. He knew that he wanted to bring on a woman identifying co-writer, like he knew that for sure. And part of that is just, there are two female leads in
Yeah.
this, and that's a big deal. So that I think was certainly part of it. Like that's explicitly part of it, but also I think kind of the least of his worries. I think I mean there are a lot of really terrific female screenwriters out there who are far more famous and accomplished than I am, but I think that the two things that we talked about that were important for Kyle as a director seeking out a writer were somebody who's really great to work with, which is
Mm-hmm.
also a big value that I have. And in the case of this particular movie, somebody who knew their way around both drama and comedy, like somebody who could deal with the very, very, very dark humor
Mm-hmm.
of the script, because it is, in the end of the day, a comedy, but there is so much death in it. And that is something that I know my way around. And one of the samples that I'd sent Kyle was a script that I'd worked on a couple years ago that is still actually kind of being noodled on and that I'm excited about. That is just an extremely dark, like almost like a War of the Roses between a mother and a
Mm.
daughter. It's just super, super dark. And Kyle loved it, and he thought that that was like that I understood and was not going to make something that was the wrong tone in
Right.
a movie where the tone is so important and frankly a little bit difficult to pull off just because of the project at hand. So anyway, yeah, we're working on our next project together now, and
Oh, good.
we're gonna try to I don't know, we're gonna try to pull off the combination of yeah, dark humor
I love that.
and true comedy again.
Yeah, it's hard to not go to a place of melodrama
Mhm.
when you're writing a dark comedy. And I
For
mean,
sure.
I love dark comedy because I think all comedy comes from pain in some way. You just have to go there, you
Mhm.
know? And
For sure.
if you can't laugh, that's the greatest medicine, really, is to laugh about it, even if it's not funny. Um, okay,
Absolutely.
so that was my next question about like what's next from this. I love that. So you guys are collaborating on another project?
We are,
Woo!
yeah. I won't say too much
Yes.
about it, but we just did our War Room thing here in Miami last week, and it went super great. And yeah, we're well underway on what I think will be um, a pretty strong draft. But yeah, again, kind of continuing from the success of my Dead Friend Zoe, it'll be very, very funny. It'll also be very, very human, and really the entire crux of the story rests on human connection and the risk of loneliness. So yeah, I think it'll be really lovely. It's also a slightly bigger movie,
Mhm.
so you can look forward to some larger set pieces.
Awesome. Is that something that Kyle's going to direct?
Yes, for sure.
Awesome. Good. I love that. That's so
Yeah,
exciting. Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah.
All right, so let's shift gears and just talk about your other doings and projects. So, I don't know if we covered this, it might have been something that we just touched on, but will you talk about you have a short story collection that came out in 2023? Is that right?
Mhm.
Or was it 2024?
No, I think that's right. 2023. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What's this like? There's a shift in fiction writing, screenplay writing. What draws you over here to the fiction writing?
Yeah. So yes, thank you for bringing up the book. Everybody go buy the book. It's so good. Yes.
The
So
name. What's it called?
it's called Stories No One Hopes Are About Them.
Perfect.
Although there is exactly one story in the collection that I think people do want to be about them, but you have to read the whole collection to figure out which one it is. Yes, I love short story writing, and fiction writing, I feel like, is not only so much fun as a medium in itself, but also so good for screenwriters. I think the more different kinds of tools screenwriters can have writing across genres, the better. Yeah, I'm a big advocate for fiction writing and nonfiction writing. People who write in that space know that those are often the same thing, fiction writing and nonfiction writing. And Yeah, I guess I'm very like honored to get to professionally do both. But sometimes, a story is just sort of obviously going to be a short story.
Mhm.
Sometimes it has more meat on its bones, and you're like, maybe I'm dabbling with something that's longer, like a novel or novella. Which thankfully has not happened to me too many times. And then sometimes it really is like the kind of cinematic story where you're like, oh no, this is a film. This is a film.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes you know from the get, and sometimes you know partway through, and sometimes a story has a really healthy life as more than one thing. Like I'm very
Mhm.
excited actually. I'm working with a cool director right now, Vadim Agol, on he's going to be adapting and directing one of the short stories from that first collection. So yeah, I think, obviously short stories often have a second life as an IP, which
Mhm.
can be cool. And yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I would love to do some more dabbling in that space as well, but um,
So
yeah.
how did that come about? Did you just like have a bunch of stories, short stories that you wanted to put into sort of like one space? Like how did this come about for you for this collection?
Yeah, I was writing short stories over a couple of years, and I realized that I had God, this is going to sound so ridiculous, but I sort of had the page count of a full book.
Uh-huh.
And I started kind of piecing them together. And if you read the collection, you will know that it's not a linked collection. It is not the
Mhm.
same um, characters or theme or whatever, but there are such strong threads. You sort of start to notice maybe in your own work, in your own oeuvre, whatever kind of writing you do. Oh, I'm really interested in these things,
Mhm.
and it's sort of coming out in my work.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely a collection that belongs to itself and is coherent, I think, in terms of voice and in its
Mhm.
concerns with like power dynamics and ecology and like people sort of ascending from being the objects of other people's realities into agents in their own, and like just a lot of the same kind of things sort
Mhm.
of continue to happen in my work across screenwriting and fiction writing. But yeah, I sort of realized, oh, I think this might be a book, and I realized kind of late in the process I wasn't thinking about it being a book, sort of until I put the collection together and then shipped it off at the very last moment, truly as the post office was closing on the due date for the Iowa Short Fiction Prize, and was fortunate enough to win and get published with them. So, yeah.
Crazy. Well, good for you. I'm ashamed to say I don't have it, but I'm going to go order
I'll
it
find
because
you one.
I
Oh
do
yeah.
I do no, I will no. Here's the thing, and this is what I'm telling everyone who's watching this. Go buy your friend's stuff. I don't care if they give you a copy. I don't care. That's great. But also go buy it because it matters. Just buy
It's
it.
it super matters. And also if you can buy it from your favorite local bookstore because
Yes,
they need your love.
exactly. Yes, exactly. Yes,
Yeah,
go to your local. Amazing. And also, if they don't have it, ask them to order it.
they will do it for you.
They will do it.
Anytime.
Um, that's awesome. So you did touch on something a couple of minutes ago about how you feel like writers should write in different mediums. Why is that? What do you think comes from fiction writing to screenplay writing, and vice versa?
I think for screenwriters who are watching this, which is like presumably everyone watching this, you have such a sense of immediacy in writing for cinema. You know, everything is present tense. There's no interiority. If you can't see it or hear it, it doesn't exist on the page, clipped sentences, etc. So I think that can be really, really helpful for prose writers who are a little too languorous sometimes. But I also think that fiction writing can be great in terms of its freedom and
Yeah.
flexibility for screenwriters. Often we don't give ourselves the permission to write whatever we want to write because we're thinking about what it will cost, or
Mhm.
um, we really maybe just want to get into the psyche of someone, and now we have to figure out how to do that through gesture or expression or
Right.
whatever. And there's also just a lot of room for experimentation in terms of how things land on the page, pacing,
Mhm.
shifts in POV. Just like there's so much value and room in experimentation when you're writing in the fiction or nonfiction space,
Yeah.
and everything is free. A car chase in space costs the exact same thing as somebody spilling tea. Like it's just the best. But it also, I think, it kind of opens up. And I'll add to that too. Like I think theatrical writing, like I used to, playwright as well. And that can be really great too, because you're thinking about how the words you're putting on the page might be made manifest, but also
Mhm.
how they'll be received in space. And again, it can be very, very, very experimental on
Mhm.
and off the page. Um, and so I think, yeah, I think for about, 2000 reasons, but especially
Right.
for freedom and experimentation, it can be valuable to toggle between those mediums.
Yeah, there's something very cathartic about being able to write somebody's thoughts and
Yeah,
feelings. I'm
yeah.
like,
Sometimes you
oh,
want to get in there.
that's like it's easy. Say how
If
they
you,
feel. It's amazing.
you can't just be shedding a single tear all day long. Like just
Right.
pause, what was thinking.
As they're in a car chase in space.
Right, right, exactly. You get it. Yeah. That's the plot of my next book, actually.
Amazing. Me too. Shoot.
Yeah.
Um, all right. So let's talk about for you. What are you doing currently? What what are you most excited about? I know we were talking about like times are a little like precarious right now.
Yeah.
But what excites you? What do you feel like you like want to dive into? What's next for you?
I am working on my next couple of books. One will be a short story collection. Excited to kind of go underground in Northern California in a couple of weeks and just kind of knock that out. My first novel is also well underway. So those are kind of the two next book projects, which I think are both going to be really great. And then, yeah, in terms of film, I am actually feeling encouraged despite despite the times being what they are. Um, and I hope that you watch this video 10 years in the future. I have no idea what I'm talking about. That would be great for you.
Right.
But yeah, I think it can feel hard to convince ourselves as artists that what we do matters all the time. So I think I'm just very interested in doubling, maybe tripling down on work that really, really represents a confluence of meaning and entertainment. I am in a position right now as a moviegoer, as someone who wants to um, be told the truth at the same time that I want to escape. And I think
Mhm.
we can have both those things. I think there's some good work coming out right now that proves that to be the case. And I think we are also seeing some experimental approaches. I think we're seeing um, some examples in that sort of middle class of filmmaking that's pretty interesting. And so, yeah, despite all evidence to the contrary, I'm feeling weirdly optimistic in certain ways. But yeah, I'm just going to keep writing movies. I'm going to keep writing big movies. Yeah, the last script that I just finished is like a period spy thriller that is cool and female driven and just filled with explosions. and, and it's like unproducibly expensive. Although I will say on this call, like if anyone has $90 million lying around, let me know. Shayna will
Great.
put us in touch. But
Yes.
but I do think there's a kind of hopefulness in just
Mhm.
carrying on and creating work that is both um, edifying and entertaining, building worlds that you can invite other people to,
Yeah.
that I think create community at the same time that they prove the model, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's a great way to end this with the AJ hopefulness. Thank you so much for the follow-up. I'm very, very excited for you. I think that, for all of us, when good things happen for good people and movement forward for good people happens, I think it lifts everybody up. So we are all rooting for you. Because when you rise, we rise, right? So
Yeah,
thank you
that
so
comes
much.
true. Thank you for that.
We will
Excellent.
see everybody on the next one.